Hey everybody, this is Ronnie Brandt from the Salesforce product marketing team coming to you live from Dreamforce. Thank you for joining us at Salesforce Live today. We're joined for this next segment with the Sam's Club team. Tim and Bala, would you like to introduce yourself to everyone at home?
Sure. My name is Tim Simmons. I'm Vice President of Member Management at Sam's Club. I work with our main customer segments.
My name is Bala Visalata. I'm the Senior Director for B2B Growth at Sam's Club.
Yep, and so I want to explain to everyone at home a little bit about what Sam's Club is and whatnot. There's a whole network of nationwide stores. You can get great products in there, like Cooper Street cookies. If I wanted to go and actually get a box of cookies, what would I have to do?
Well, we're a membership organization. So in all 650 of our clubs, you need to be a member to shop the club. So we have two types of memberships. One is what we call our basic, where for a $45 fee, you get a year's access to the clubs, among other benefits. Then we have a plus membership where for $100, you can get other superior benefits like cashback, et cetera. But once you go to the club, either you can do this online or you go to the club, you get your membership, then you're able to go in and shop the clubs.
Okay, and you guys have a special promotion for everyone watching at home and attending here live today, right?
Yeah, we do. We have a really great promotion, especially for the Dreamforce attendees. Check out the offer at samsclub.com/Dreamforce 2016 40. It's a $40 offer, so that's the reason 40. So again, samsclub.com/Dreamforce 201640.
Okay, that's great. And so we've heard a lot of good things here too at Dreamforce, and we're coming fresh off the Salesforce for Sales Keynote as well, where we heard about things like Einstein bringing AI to everyone in CRM, giving everyone their own data scientist, and Lightning as well. You guys are actually newer to Salesforce and launched on Lightning. Would you tell us a little bit about that journey and maybe why you picked Lightning first as well?
Well, I'll talk to the journey itself, and Bala can talk a little bit to Lightning. We needed to really dramatically increase our ability to go out and sign up new business members of our club. We have consumers who shop for the household and business members who shop for their businesses. And we had seen some declining performance with our business members. So we adopted Salesforce. We call it internally our Sales Pro tool. And we turned on technology specific to us to help us go out and very efficiently recruit those business members. As it relates to Lightning, Bala went through an experience where it just was a perfect fit for us.
Lightning as a product, or Lightning as a solution, ended up being an obvious choice when we were going through the journey. So when we started, we went with the standard product features, the way it's configured, and we tried it out in our pilot, and then we really fast realized that we need to make a lot of changes on the product. And one of the big changes is the business in which we are in. We have a very short sales cycle.
Yep.
So we had to actually.
Hey, Bala, we're also hearing at home to pick up your mic a little bit, just so everyone can hear. It's drifting a little bit, and it's loud here at Moscone Center at Dreamforce.
Totally. So we have a very short sales cycle, which in a way actually made it imperative for us to change the configuration, which is the standard configuration, and that started our journey in thinking about Lightning, in thinking about we need to have a more customized solution for Sam's Club, and Lightning fitted the need perfectly.
Yeah, and so we did a session together earlier today, and you brought up a couple tenets around mobility and customization and UI. I want to talk a little bit about what went into those decisions for each of your different actual store associates, and maybe how do you got to developing Sales Pro the way that you did?
Yeah, absolutely. So in our clubs, we have about 4 associates who are dedicated to membership. They're our membership associates. They are the ones who actually are going out, meeting with these potential business members. And so we looked at how they worked today. And the current state, this meaning prior to rolling out Sales Pro, and it was very manual. They were using desktops, they were doing printouts, it was highly inefficient, et cetera. So the way we really got around configuring Sales Pro and so the Salesforce solution for us was to get in their shoes. We did a ton of interviews, we did ride-alongs, and we really learned how they worked and how we could best enable how they worked. And so that drove a lot around the user experience, the visual design. We learned that in order to really enable them to be most effective, they had to make the transaction while out at the business member's place. And so that required mobility. And we didn't want them to have a transactional device plus different devices for their prospecting activities. So we built it all into one mobile device.
You put everything in one place for the rep, and ease of use leads to better adoption, right?
Exactly.
Yep. So how did you actually get your reps to use the new tool and use the Salesforce to their best advantage to drive business within the business membership community?
So it was a multi-step process. So the way we started is like we had to actually have a product which solves for some of the problems which they had driving the numbers. So device was one critical piece of it, wherein earlier the associates or the sales reps, they used to actually put it on a paper, go to the field, sell membership, come back and enter it into their desktop for us to actually give credit for their sales. So bringing it onto something which they are already carrying to the market on its own drove significant engagement with the tool, because they don't need to do the same work twice, because that's not what they like doing. What they like doing is being in the field, talking to the small business owners, sharing the value proposition, converting them into a Sam's Club member. So that was very critical. And then we invested a lot in actually thinking about change management while designing the product. So we involved them very actively while designing the product, and then we thought about like, hey, change management means we need to have a product which speaks their language. Change management means like we have very well-scheduled set of training and webinars and WebEx conferences to be there to answer any question. And then change management also means that like there needs to be a buy-in across the chain, as in like all the way from the sales rep to the CEO. Yeah.
And so how did you go about actually addressing that and then getting the new reps to use the new tool? You shared this morning that there's a pilot phase. Could you tell us a little bit more about that as well at home? This is one of the biggest questions we get asked, is how do you drive adoption and how do you get people to actually work through the change management process?
Sure. So when we were designing the product, we engaged 2 clubs out of 650 clubs to just learn about what the need is. And then we engaged 28 clubs to show the initial product. And then when we were actually launching the product across 650 clubs, the representatives in those 28 clubs were the brand ambassadors of the product itself. So that's this is a classic example of when you're designing the product, align your change management with it, and then actually start onboarding who could be the ambassadors of the product in the market.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that we did a lot of work with our top leadership. We even did workshops with our CEO, with the leadership committee around how could they benefit from the tool. And that way we got them talking about the tool, and the expectations were set very high from the top down all the way to regional managers, market managers, club managers, where the expectation was set very clear that all our associates were expected to be on this tool and use it.
And how did you leverage that executive sponsorship to get adoption through the first phase, and then now with the nationwide rollout? Some companies struggle going from little adoption to all adoption, maybe ups and downs. What was your experience like through that process?
Yeah, I think the way we used our executive leadership the most effective was at the beginning of our fiscal year. Every year we have what we call a YBM, a year beginning meeting. And we bring in the regional managers, market managers, club managers, so the top leadership of the field. And what we did was we had all of our executives teed up to talk about Sales Pro, what it would do, what the value proposition was, et cetera. Bal and I did a training session on our own breakout where we came through, we showed them the demo, we walked them through it. So we leveraged that executive support to kick the year off and to kick the meeting off. And what we saw was, you mentioned some ups and downs. When we immediately launched, we saw high adoption, login rates in the high 90s. And then we saw a dip because they hadn't quite yet learned it, they hadn't quite yet adopted it into their daily behavior. So they got the message loud and clear from leadership that, hey, I better get into this tool. And then we had to go back and train again, and train again, and train again until the point that we got that high adoption curve back up to where they're using it now in their daily work lives.
Yeah, that's great as well. So I want to shift back into the early phases of the project a little bit, because we hear from customers all the time, how do you decide what to do and when? So what was that like for you guys as you were working through that first pilot or second phase and now national rollout, like doing work directly with store associates or trying to get them off clipboards and on Salesforce what did you guys do to figure out what to do and when?
Sure. As in, like, it started right when we decided that business member is our priority, and then the next piece was that if business member is the priority, which element of the business is the priority? And then we went into saying acquisition is our priority. That's something which we've been lagging over the last 4 or 5 years, and that's where the growth is. And then we went into acquisition, and then like we said that like, hey, within acquisition, like how do we actually go about acquisitions these days? And we realized that like our associates are the ones like who drive majority of the acquisitions. Then we said that like, how are they doing it? And then we started learning about like how are they doing it, and we went into the clubs. We went to pretty much many clubs, and then we started learning that like these guys are actually using a white sheet on Monday morning to list down all the small businesses around the club, and then make that list, show it to the club manager, which all businesses they're visiting. We felt that like that process is really inefficient, and it actually cost me a lot. As in like cost per acquisition is the key metric to drive growth, and it was costing us a lot. So.
Yep. It's okay. It's a little loud here in Moscone too. So, but you also said that you did ride-alongs with reps. What did you learn directly with the people who are selling day to day for Sam's Club?
Well, a couple of things. So one thing we learned, for example, is that the data feeds we gave them, the leads we were providing them from our home office support, were poor quality. So 85, sometimes I hear 85% of the time they were going and they were bad leads. The business no longer existed, or it was already an existing Sam's Club member. So oftentimes the data was really poor. That was one key finding that we had. The other key finding that we had was that even if the lead was valid, they had no context. And so they went in there cold. They didn't know about the business. They didn't really know how to talk about it. So they didn't really know how to engage, other than it was a very cold call. Hi, you want a Sam's Club membership? And we also learned a little bit about the key steps to the process. So we took all those learnings and we built it into our Sales Pro solution. So we have Radius as a data feed, which makes sure that the leads are high quality leads, they're accurate. There's all kinds of contextual data around it, so they can go in prepared to that conversation. And the other thing that we did is we took the basic Salesforce out-of-the-box solution and we pared it down and customized it to what we saw as the actual process and steps that our field is using.
And that's absolutely amazing. So a couple last closing questions for you. What's next in your journey? What are you guys going to be doing as a next step now that you have V1 of Sales Pro out across all of your clubs nationwide?
I'll say optimization. So we will continue to push adoption. We will continue to push that people stay in the tool now that they're in the tool. But we're already finding ways that we can add tabs, that we can add modules to what we've already built that will just make them far more effective. For example, even adding more context around existing members. So when they go out and do follow-up visits with those members, seeing their basket, seeing the profitability of those members. So at the member level, that business member level, being able to see and make highly targeted recommendations when they go out to do visits. So we're going to continue to add functionality like that to the tool. I don't know what else you think.
And then Bala, in the last minute here, you went through the project, you drove it from the admin side and structure side. What would you recommend out to all of our friends at home as a starting point for them in the middle of their project or their enhancement to their Salesforce instance?
There are a couple of things. One thing is you got to be very clear about the problem which you're solving. And then the second biggest thing is you got to be very clear about like who are the end users, and then always look out for partners who can actually help you through this journey if you're working for a really big company like Sam's Club.
That's great. Hey, Tim and Bala, thank you so much for joining us here on Salesforce Live today. Everyone at home, again, I want to remind you about the promotion for Sam's Club memberships. Go to samsclub.com/Dreamforce 2016-40 to get your discounted membership today. And go on and shop at the store. I've been a lifelong member. It's a great place. We'll have more on Salesforce Live shortly. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ronnie Brandt from the Sales Cloud Product Marketing Team, and have a great afternoon.